Well, it's great to see so many people here. So really appreciate everyone here today to celebrate two pretty exciting days for our league. I think if we take a look back at the season and look more broadly at it, it's pretty incredible to see what's happened between November and June. We launched two expansion teams in Vancouver and Seattle. We had a chance to see the impact of the PWHL on the Olympic stage. I think the game has never been better when we look at the quality of play. We saw a Canadian team win the Walter Cup for the first time and then have a celebration with 20,000 fans, which was incredible. Hockey participation is booming, certainly across North America and both Canada and the United States. And we see it through our grassroots programming, adult camps, fantasy camps, Ready, Set, Skate, a number of programs that we have launched to try to continue to grow the game and build fandom. Overall, we saw a 500% increase in demand across our hockey programming. It's a pretty incredible number, 500%. We saw the announcement of 4 new expansion teams, as well as new general managers, new head coaches. And as of today, our player distribution process is now through the 4th phase of 6. It's been a long process, but it's been a detailed process and one that was necessary to build this league and build 4 new teams. Throughout the process, we set out to achieve 2 main goals, which was to give the players meaningful choice in the process and also to ensure that we could maintain competitive balance across the league. And it's hard to argue. We've had 3 years in a row that the season has come down to the final game of the season to determine the first place goal plan winner. So the competitive balance, as we've always said, is really critical to us. I think that every player that's signed with a new team or re-signed with their existing team has had voice in the process, and that's been really important. Our continued work with the PA and the collaboration with the players to ensure that this league was built around the players and their voice, and we need to ensure that that was a part of it as well. The distribution process was months in the making, lots of conversations with the PA. And through that, we've also spent a lot of time supporting our general managers every step of the way. It's been detailed frameworks, guidance, ongoing support. And I think we're all incredibly proud of the work that so many people across this league have put into this process. It's been a difficult one. It's been a stressful one for many, an emotional one for many, but really proud of the work that so many people across our league have done. We also recognize our fans, and this is a tough time for fans as well. It's difficult to see your favorite players move on, and we see that, of course, in every professional sports league. But this has certainly been a bigger spotlight on this in the last few weeks. There's going to be lots of debate about which teams have done the best through this process, but we're never really going to know until the teams hit the ice, and that's, I think, what makes sports unlike anything else is you still have to show up, you have to skate on the ice and play a game. More broadly, this is a defining moment for professional women's hockey, and tomorrow's draft will be one of the deepest drafts we've seen, both North American and international talent, and really looking forward to watching 12 teams compete in the league next season and the talent that they're going to put on the ice. Today is an important day as we officially close the chapter on season 3 with the awards today, and then quickly turn the page tomorrow to season 4 and welcoming in an incredibly talented group of players to the PWHL.
Thanks, Jayna. Yeah, a lot of hockey things to talk through, and this week is really all about hockey. Tonight we're celebrating our players, the awards, and tomorrow obviously we have the entry draft. But I get really excited talking about the business side of things. We started this league 3 years ago, and the goal was to build a sustainable league, and that's been the goal from day one, is to get to the point where we know we're going to be here for generations and provide opportunities for girls for many, many years to come. And I think this year was another step in that journey. And we've seen growth across all of our KPIs and across all of our metrics, and that's the goal every year, is to have growth year over year. So some few milestones to highlight was we finished with an average attendance of 9,300 fans this year. Amazing growth. We look at that growth 28% higher than year 2. 71% higher than if you compare season 3 to season 1. So we continue to see our line, and then, pun intended, but nice hockey stick growth for us on the attendance side. We welcomed our 1 millionth fan in the same season. So now we've hit well over 2 million fans in our existence and continue to grow those numbers. Our sponsorship portfolio increased 35% year over year. We have 81 corporate sponsors now. And it's great to see the partners taking interest in our league more now than ever. YouTube viewership, 77% up year over year, 160 plus countries listening and watching to us over YouTube. The takeover tour, completely separate from our home games, over 200,000 fans saw us across 9 markets and 16 games this season. So we continue to build our business, continue to create new fans, and continue to grow what we're doing. I talk a lot with my team, and when we go out and do certain things, it's all about the company you keep. And we've been a very good company this year, earning recognition from Fast Company, Sports Business Journal, Strategy Magazine, the Harris Poll, and Synopsis. So we're really proud when we go to a lot of events and we're collecting awards, and that doesn't happen without the work of, Jayna's team and my team. So we're very proud about that. You know, three years ago, we were launching a new league, 6 teams. Weren't really sure what to expect, and it's crazy now that going into year 4, we have 12 teams here, and we're really proud of the opportunities that we're providing for players on the ice, but also, women in the front office and working on the business as well. So we feel in our 3 years on the business side, we've accomplished a ton. But as Billie Jean King reminds us every day, our journey is just getting started. So a lot of work ahead, but proud of where we are and getting ready to get 4 new expansion teams up and running. So with that, we're open to your questions.
Hi, Alicia Crank Up the Volume based out of Seattle. So first, my one question for Amy. At a Women's in Sports Leadership event in Seattle last fall, you made a comment along the lines of knowing that growth would come with mistakes along the way, but that the league would not let that become a fear or deterrent. How has the growing pains that you've come across with expansion influenced decisions made for this upcoming draft and going into season 4?
Well, thanks for making me eat my words in some way, maybe. Yeah, listen, Stan Kasten is amazing. Stan tells us every day in every game we learn something and we bring that forward with us, right?
Yeah.
You're at all the Seattle games, right? Like Seattle, we underestimated the amount of merch that we would sell. And, I heard about it when I visited the market. And so now we make sure that we do a little bit more research when we go into the market. What is the appetite for merch? What is the appetite for hospitality when you buy your ticket? So trying to be a little more proactive in gathering data and doing a little bit more research so we don't make that same mistake, right? We want fans to have team merch, jerseys, all those things. And so, and every market is different, right? So we need to make sure that we take that into account and, get input from if we have an NHL partner there or a merch partner, what do they see? So for us, it's, making sure we do more research and making sure we learn every day from data, having conversations. But yeah, listen, we're going to launch 4 teams and we're going to make mistakes again.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't let that deter you from moving forward and making sure that you're putting the best product forward for the fans. So we'll continue to grow and learn and put the best foot forward for our fans.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, folks. I'm Haley with Boston Globe. Amy, this is a question for you. Now that the league has reached 12 teams or is about to reach 12 teams starting next season, are there plans to continue to expand, or is this a number that you want to sit at for a while? And then following up on that, at what point in the timeline do you think you might move away from single entity ownership?
I think our focus now is just making sure we get these 12 teams up and running. And, listen, we work at the direction of our board of advisors. And if and when they determine the next round of expansion comes, then we'll undertake that. But focus today is getting these 4 teams up and running.
Hi, Catherine Daly with the Michigan Advance. From both the business side and the hockey side, you've talked about it before, but can you just talk a little bit more about what attracted you specifically to Detroit for both the draft and for an expansion team?
I could start on the hockey side. When we're evaluating markets, there's a lot of things we look at. Infrastructure is a big one. So arenas for both games and practices, ensuring that our players have the resources that we've promised them as professional athletes. So, obviously for us to be able to be in a building like this, game venue, practice venue, same place, gym, lounge, all of those things that are part of being a professional athlete. This was a natural. We want to work with great partners. I have a chance to work here with the Illich Group, and they've been incredible partners to date. So that's important for us. We look at grassroots. We look at how many people are playing the game, following the game, fans of the game. We had a chance to play here, as all of you know, multiple times over the last few years, and so the fans have continued to show up and show why they deserve a team here.
She said it all.
Next question, John.
Hi, John Wall with the Associated Press. For Amy, when it comes to, is there a need to? This kind of follows up on what Emma was asking about how about stability and further expansion. How much is there a need to find a level of stability after all the maybe upheaval is the wrong word that the league has gone through, especially roster wise at this point? Especially now that you want to retain a fan base and a loyalty to the teams that or the players that are now being drafted, especially in this draft.
Yeah, I think stability is really important. It's been a fun 3 seasons, and with growth comes growing pains, and that's okay. We have confidence that our fans are pretty smart, and they will be fans of their team no matter who's wearing that jersey. And that's, listen, players come and players go in every league, not just as part of expansion, but through trades, through free agency. So it maybe we're going through a different process right now, but it's nothing abnormal in the world of sports. And so I can't imagine people not being a fan of a team because a player was traded or a player moved on. And women fan differently as well. And so at the end of the day, we don't take any of our fans for granted, but stability is good. And I think now that, for the foreseeable future, we're going to settle in and get our 12 teams to a place where we're really comfortable. And I'm not too worried from a fan base perspective. I think we've got an unbelievable staff at the league level. We've got unbelievable team directors at the local level. We do a ton of stuff for fan engagement. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of stuff that provide our fans access to our players. We do great storytelling. And so now the fans get to hear new stories about new players in their market, and they'll fall in love with them just the way they did the players that played for them previously. So it just gives us one opportunity to engage with the fans.
Yes. Out of fairness, and I get what you're saying. It's not often that a player of the caliber of Hillary Knight moves that many times over the course of less than 3 seasons. When it comes to a star player like that, so expansion has provided some upheaval. Though Hillary's done well in the markets that she's been in, she has not had a lot of stability as far as her status goes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not the normal course of business, but I think the beauty of the PWHL is we're a single entity league, and we get to do things that is in the best interest of all 12 teams. We want parity in our league. We want every game to be competitive, every shift to be competitive. And so we don't have to conduct our business the way every other league does. And it's wonderful that you guys compare us to everybody, because it's wonderful to be in that company. But it's really fun to wake up every day and get to think about how we run the league and we run our teams in a way that benefits all 12 markets, not just one more than any other.
This is for Jayna. It's Ian Kelly from the Hockey News. There's been a lot of conversation about how the draft order was figured out. A lot of fans have been upset that the expansion teams are picking as high as they are. Can you just run us through what the justification was for that, so that people might know why the expansion teams were placed where they were?
Yeah, I think I would start with, we've said from day one that competitive balance is critical to us. And so that is the goal, while maintaining player choice within the process that we went through. As we look at the draft order, the order itself is in line with what we've said all along, in terms of the gold plan winner having the number 1 overall pick. Seattle was the last place team in the league. as we went through the process, we wanted to have all the information we could to make the best decision. And I think every decision we make at the PWHL, we try to gather as much fact and information as we can. And we wanted to ensure we had that before we identified what we believed is the right order for the draft process. And so we're comfortable with where we're at. And but in terms of the order, it's all been outlined previous to when it was announced yesterday.
Hi, Alana Marable with the Detroit News. You guys talked about giving that intentionality towards the players and the teams and also the fans. The youth and the next generation is a part of that engagement. So can you just talk about what it means to really impact the next generation of women hockey players as they're watching you guys showcase who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I think, we had a chance to be with some of our draft prospects today, and I did a quick welcome to them. And as I was driving to the event, I was with Cassie Campbell, and we were talking about what are we going to say to these young players that are, this next generation of stars. And we're like, God, just tell them to enjoy it. Like, they're going to get drafted. And we were like, we never got drafted. And so I said to them today, like, my generation would have loved this. We didn't get a chance to have it, but I'm so happy that they get to have it. And so then when we look at the next generation of, young girls that are going to watch this and not know a world where there isn't professional women's hockey, and all of the work we do to try to encourage, young girls to be active, and if it's hockey, great. If it's another sport, wonderful, or activity. But, if we can keep people engaged and become fans of the game and maybe play in the PWHL someday, that's probably one of the most rewarding things we do.
Hey, Jayna, Carissa Duncan from CBC Sports. Good to see you. Just following up on what Ian was asking about the draft order. Last year, we saw the expansion teams pick at the end of the order, and then this year they're in the middle of the order. You talked about wanting to have more information. Can you outline specifically what's different this year that convinced you that the expansion teams needed to pick a little bit higher?
Yeah, I think as I said, we went through the distribution process and really evaluating where rosters were at through that process and trying to build out, 12 competitive teams. And, can say even, but we're never really going to know. We look at what happened last year, and I think it's pretty safe to say almost everyone in this room thought that Vancouver and Seattle were going to be playing for the Walter Cup. And so, it's these things are tough to predict. This is a really hard thing we're doing, adding 4 teams to an 8-team league and to try to maintain competitive balance. So, trying to use all the information we have. We have some really brilliant people that work on our team and that are maybe a little behind the scenes at times, but that, a lot of people involved in trying to figure out how we do this in the best possible way in the best interests of the league.
Yeah, one for Amy, one for Jen. I'm Sean Shapiro with Elite Prospects. First for Jayna, when it comes to having as much information as possible to figure out the draft order, and I know there was, I know the GMs all spoke after about a week ago, saying obviously Hillary was the biggest player, and Minot even said she's a player contract on another team. And then at 9 o'clock today, that trade happens. I'm just kind of curious. Was anything you can address about the timelines with that? Obviously, then Detroit getting the number 3 pick, and just what was reported, what came out. Just because it's someone who's here based in Detroit and looking from afar at first, it's been kind of difficult to keep track of what is and wasn't reality. Wonder if you could help clarify any of that.
Well, there was a trade freeze in place until today at 9 a.m. So, of course, as these teams went through the process, they've had lots of conversations about lots of players and, some trades and that sort of thing. And so, obviously that was something that, we heard early on, but nothing was approved by the league until today when the trade lift was happened at 9 a.m. So I don't know what more I can share.
But you see the reports about it, just from the perspective of you read it, and I'm based on training people go, well, hey, Hillary Knight's coming to this team, but then she announced the big. So I'm just trying to get some clarity, if at all possible. That's all I was asking for. And then for Amy, just you talked about resources and building things up. When you guys announced the team here, you said there would be the dedicated space here in this building for the Detroit team. And just kind of curious of what the update and timeline looks like for locker room space for the team that comes to Detroit. And is it a new space that's being built? Is it altering a space that's already existing? Just kind of curious of what it'll look like for those resources for the players here.
Yeah, I can answer that. So there's some existing spaces within this building that we are going to be renovating to suit the needs of our players. So they'll have a very good sized permanent locker room within the building. We do have a few shared spaces, and then we have some other dedicated spaces, be it office space, lounge, gym, that sort of thing. So that work is underway, and we expect it to be done, certainly in advance of the season.
Hi, ladies. My name's Preston Huntington with the Czech Women's Hockey Report, but for this week, more broadly focused on international coverage. As the league now puts expansion behind it, 12 teams and stability likely on the horizon, the pursuit for growth doesn't stop. With international players continuing to be woven into the fabric of the identity of the league. Last year, Christina Koto goes number 1. Today, we'll have Petra Niemann and Andrea Branley, ideally going in a top draft spot as well. How intentional is the league in terms of its kind of international storytelling and branding as it looks to try to offer this league and the opportunities that it presents to international players that may want to leave the SCHL, the SWHL, and other in other countries as they look to eye the PWHL as a place for them to end up?
Maybe, yeah. So on the hockey side, obviously when we built this league, we wanted this to be the best league in the world for the best players, regardless of where they come from. And so the international players are a key part of this league. And we've continued to see more and more players want to make that jump. We had a lot of intentionality behind what we did at the Olympic Games this year and what we'll continue to do around international hockey. We're seeing coaches and team staff that are also wanting to be a part of this league, and that's really exciting. So, really thrilled to be able to welcome a really deep non-North American draft class this year. And we want to just continue to have that impact as this is a destination for the best players in the world. And we know there's a lot of them outside of North America, and hopefully they'll have a chance to play in this league.
Yeah, I think on the business side, being on YouTube is very intentional. And again, I think I said earlier, more than 160 countries are viewing our games on YouTube. And the same thing on the digital side. When you look at our website metrics, still as well over 160 countries. So first, very intentional. Hockey is a global sport, is played around the world, and we want to be part of that conversation. And we would love to eventually play a game outside of North America as well. So very much on our footprint of where to go and how to market and grow our brand and our league.
Hi, Rachel Donner with Black Rosie Media for Amy. With more teams, there's going to be more games and you need more officials. What's the plan in place to increase the officials pool and train and develop that crew of people?
I love that you think that I do that, but that's
Well, we've invested in our officiating program and new leadership group that came in under Bill McCreary, David Tafferoff, Katie Gay, and done a really good job. And part of that is not only the development of our existing officials, but recruitment. So we'll continue to try to attract the top officials that we can as well to this league. And I think, many of our officials have been here since season 1. And as we continue to maintain that group and develop that group, perhaps they'll be able to do more games as well. So we're happy with where our program's at, but it's one of those things where we continue to, go back and evaluate and teach and develop and recruit. And so our eyes are out looking for the next officials that will join the league.
Hi, Eli Fasta for the Ice Guard. How important is it to lock in an American TV rights deal before the start of the season?
I think having a TV rights deal is on our roadmap, and I think we've been very intentional about ensuring whatever our media rights deal is that it values our league the same way we value our league. And We've started a wonderful partnership with Scripps, and we'll see where that goes. But listen, a lot of conversations out there, but it's got to be the right deal for us on in terms of the way they value us. So when that deal comes along, and again, we've had multiple conversations, we'll do it. But we don't want to compromise how we value ourselves to do it.
Shane Banks, San Jose Hockey Now. Two questions for Jayna. First, general League One. The teams that were sort of put behind in the draft order, behind expansion teams, team like New York that was, hurt by it. What was their reaction to just sort of the decision for them to go, kind of far back in the draft?
So I mean, I think every team would like to be higher in the draft. That's the nature of what this is. And I think one of the great things about sport is we can all sit in this room and debate, is the order right? Is it wrong? And that's okay. That's sports. But I think we've done the best we can with the information we had. And so I would just say that every team wishes they had a higher draft pick than they do, except maybe Vancouver.
And a San Jose specific question. In the hiring of Troy Ryan as both a GM and coach, what was the kind of the thinking, the confidence in giving him both jobs? Obviously, GM coach dual roles, it's not usual anymore.
Yeah, I think first of all, we don't always do things in the most traditional ways here at the PWHL. So I want to sort of emphasize with that. And we thought it was an opportunity to try a little bit different structure in one of our teams. Troy has been with us since season one, and his interest in increasing his role was there. Troy is a true professional. He knows the game. He's a great culture builder. So, he sort of checked a lot of boxes, and we had a lot of trust in him that he's someone that could do this role. And we've said at the outset, and I know he said it as well, like, we're going to evaluate where it's at. And, after the season, if it's not the right structure for that team, then we'll make a change. But it's something that we felt, we were excited to try and look at how we could build a team a little bit differently.
Back here.
Connor, your Big Detroit News question for Amy. With 4 new expansion markets and sort of a new frontier for corporate partnerships, I wonder what the growth has been like there, and have you seen sort of the manifestation of those new markets and partnerships, particularly in Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice from a partnership perspective, especially in the US now, to have more markets, and I think that will meaningfully help the partnership conversations. We were very lucky here in Detroit where Ally came on as a founding partner. Really love having them as part of our partnership portfolio. And Andrea has been, they've been an amazing partner for our first couple of years of our takeover tour here, and now on a much bigger scale. So we think we will do well here in Detroit on the partnership end of things. But I think the fun part now for us is, I was at the SBJ partnership conference last week in Chicago, and you sit in partnership conversations on all types of topics, and you're sitting in the audience and no one knows you're there, and brands are now talking about us without us actually reaching out to them. Brands are now reaching out to us, and so it's really fun to be part of the conversation. Now we have to go out and close the deal, and that's the hard part, but it's really cool to see how our growth and our stories have really I think penetrated the partnership space now, where brands are speaking about us and to us. And so while we've had great growth over, year over year, we continue that. We think that'll continue to be the case.
All right, we'll do 3 final questions. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Emma Healy with Boston Globe. Amy, this is a follow-up to a question that you got earlier about the U.S. broadcast deal. What, if any, role did the, seeking a U.S. broadcast deal play in the selection of these 4 markets, and in particularly expanding the footprint out west?
Yeah, again, we talk about so many factors go into why we expand. Is media one of them? Yes.
Alicia, crank up the volume. This is for both of you. looking at the PWHL almost as a startup, you guys had the ambitious task of doubling the league in 2 years, in just under 2 years. What has been some of the positive outcomes from doing this, and maybe what have been one or two unexpected obstacles?
I'll start with the positives. I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
the opportunities it creates, both for players, for women in coaching, in officiating, in media, in team roles. So just I think general opportunities it creates, and then secondly, again, talk about the societal impact that this league is having on people and how both young girls and young boys are impacted by the growth of this league. I think is an incredible positive that we've created.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think obstacles is the right word. I think we come to work every day understanding that working in women's sports is really hard. And there are challenges that are different than maybe working in a men's league. And, it's why we show up every day. We embrace the challenges. We take them on regardless of what it is. And so every day the PWHL brings something new and different. And we're very lucky that we're in this position where we've got, wonderful ownership in Mark and Kimber Walter. We've got an amazing advisory board who challenges us every day to be different, to run this league different. And so I wouldn't say specific obstacles. I'd say just in general, there are challenges that we take on every single day and we embrace them. And at the end of the day, the goal is to build this league and keep it around for the next, 50, 60, 70 years, well after we're on this earth. And that's the fun of it, right? Whether it's the debating draft order, whether it's debating where we're going to play, our takeover tour games, whether it's where we're going to expand. They're all fun conversations and they're all fun challenges to take on.
This one can be for either one of you. Thinking of, you mentioned the PWHL takeover tour there, Amy. What's the status of special events for next year? Is the takeover tour going to grow? Is it going to stay relatively the same? New markets? I know people kind of thought of it as an expansion testing, which we know wasn't necessarily meant to be that ever. But in terms of that, and also in terms of will there be anything else, such as an all-star game, an outdoor game, anything in the works along those lines?
Yeah, the takeover tour will be back. We will have some same markets. We'll have some new markets. Actually, all of those are under evaluation right now. I've got a lot of emails in my inbox that need to get combed through to review responses from markets, but it will very much be back and as healthy as ever. All-Star is in our sphere of wanting to do. Again, is it next year the right year? We'll see. We're still having those conversations. Also would love to have an outdoor game, but it's got to be the right venue, the right economics, and the right location. So all those on the radar and all under discussion.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.